Today I'm going to read a story called The Enormous Turnip. What is a turnip? A turnip is a kind of vegetable. So let's find out about the enormous turnip. One sunny morning, a man decided to plant some turnip seeds. He fetched his fork from the shed and dug a patch of his vegetable garden. It was hard work. He made sure that there were no weeds or big stones. Then very carefully he sprinkled the tiny turnip seeds in a row. The man took great care of his turnip seeds. Every day, as soon as he woke up, he went down to his vegetable garden and gave them some water. In only a few little days, little green leaves appeared. These are going to be fine turnips, the man said to himself. The turnips grew very quickly, as turnips do. But one turnip grew faster than all the rest. Soon it was twice as big as the other turnips. The man was astonished. I can almost see it growing, he said proudly. But the turnip didn't stop. It grew bigger and bigger and bigger until it was enormous, even bigger than the house. One day the man decided that it was time to pull up the enormous turnip. "We can have it for our dinner," said his wife. "I'm sure it will taste as good as the others." So the man took hold of the turnip's huge leaves with both hands, and he pulled and he pulled and he pulled with all his might, but he couldn't pull up the enormous turnip. The man called his wife. "I'm going to need some help with this turnip," he laughed. So the man pulled the turnip and the woman pulled the man. They pulled with all their might, but they couldn't pull up the enormous turnip. Uh-oh. The woman called to a little boy. "Can you come help us with this enormous turnip?" So the man pulled the turnip, and the woman pulled the man, and the little boy pulled the woman. They pulled with all their might, but they couldn't pull up the enormous turnip. A little girl was walking past. "Please come help us with this enormous turnip," called the little boy. So the man pulled the turnip, and the woman pulled the man, and the little boy pulled the woman, and the little girl pulled the little boy. They pulled with all their might, but they couldn't pull up the enormous turnip. The little girl called to her dog. "Yeah, boy, come and help us." So the man pulled the turnip, the woman pulled the man, the little boy pulled the woman, and the little girl pulled the little boy, and the dog pulled the little girl. They pulled with all their might, but they couldn't pull up the enormous turnip. The dog saw a large orange cat walking along the fence. "Woof," he said, "come and help us." So the man pulled the turnip, and the woman pulled the man, and the little boy pulled the woman, and the little girl pulled the little boy, and the dog pulled the little girl, and the cat pulled the dog. They pulled with all their might, but they couldn't pull up the enormous turnip. The cat saw a little mouse sitting under a cabbage leaf. Meow, she called, come and help us. So the man pulled the turnip, and the woman pulled the man, and the little boy pulled the woman, and the little girl pulled the little boy, and the dog pulled the little girl, and the cat pulled the dog, and the little mouse pulled the cat. They pulled and pulled with all their might. Don't stop, panted the man. I think we've done it. And at that the turnip came flying out of the ground. The cat fell on top of the mouse, and the dog fell on top of the cat, and the little girl fell on top of the boy, and the little boy fell on top of the little girl, and the man fell on top of the woman. And what fell on top of the man? You guessed, the most enormous turnip anyone had ever seen. When everybody had finished laughing, they picked themselves up. You must stay and have dinner with us, said the man and his wife to the little boy and the little girl and the dog and the cat and the little mouse. The turnip was delicious, and you know it was so enormous that they haven't finished eating it yet. The end.